The day the assailant appeared, my fiancé's female friend took a knife for him. She accidentally injured her uterus, and the doctor said she could never get pregnant again. When the news reached him, Ethan stood by the window, heartbroken all night. The next day, he came to me. His eyes read, "Chloe injured her uterus for me. Her life is ruined. I have to take responsibility for her." I asked him expressionlessly, "How do you plan to take responsibility?" "I'll let her live in the house we bought for our wedding. The doctor said she needs peace and quiet to recover. She can also drive my car, since she'll be going to the hospital countless times. I even want to fulfill her wish to get married, to give her a wedding." Seeing the change in my expression, Ethan quickly and nervously explained, "It's a fake wedding. You know her uterus is damaged, and it would be difficult for her to get married in the future. I'm just fulfilling a small wish of hers." He looked at me nervously, expecting me to refuse, but I just smiled and nodded. "All right, you marry her, and we'll call off the engagement." Hearing me say that, Ethan immediately panicked. "I told you, it's all fake, just to comfort her. Why are you calling off the engagement? You weren't always so cold-hearted. How can you be so ungrateful?" I couldn't help but sneer. "Don't try to manipulate me with guilt here. She did him a favor, not me. If he wants to repay that favor, he can go to any lengths. It has nothing to do with me." So when he proposed marrying Chloe, I didn't stop him. Instead, I decided to make room for her. But I didn't say these words out loud because I couldn't be bothered to argue. "That's it then. You go repay your debt, and we'll just call off the engagement. I'll find another boyfriend." With that, I turned and left, returning to the house where I'd lived for 6 years to pack his things, of course. Half an hour later, "You can pack up and get out now." I had my bodyguard throw a suitcase out. It landed right at Ethan's feet. His face turned pale, and he stared straight at me. "Grace, are you for real? As my fiancée, when I was almost injured by an assailant, I called you so many times, but you didn't even show up. If she hadn't taken that knife for me, I'd be dead by now. Don't you understand?" His eyes were red at the corners. He looked incredibly agitated. "I know," I said, looking down with a slight smile. "That's why I'm making it easier for you too." We had originally planned to go out for dinner that day, but was 2 hours late, and I didn't know why he was at that particular hotel lobby. Actually, I had already checked the surveillance footage. If he hadn't bought several condoms and strutted confidently into the hotel, he wouldn't have been targeted by the troubled assailant. The assailant had just found out his wife was cheating and saw every suspicious man as his wife's lover. So, by chance, he almost stabbed Ethan. At the critical moment, Chloe rushed forward, taking the knife for him, injuring her abdomen and uterus. Even afterward, no matter how many times I asked Ethan why he went to that particular hotel with condoms, he stammered and avoided the question, getting angry and defensive instead. "I told you, I was just passing by. I was almost dead. And you're still asking about these irrelevant details? Grace, how can you be so heartless?" Well, in the end, I was the heartless one. After throwing his suitcase out, I went out with my best friend to shop and go out for dinner. While watching a movie, Ethan's female friend suddenly posted a video she deliberately showed off in a social media post. "Only my bestie. To repay a life-saving favor, he even gave me such a big house. Thank you, you dog." My fingers trembled. The house in the video wasn't that the house we bought for our wedding, which I had paid for entirely. I couldn't help but sneer. Too bad she didn't know her bestie had already been kicked out by me, right? But the video was long, and as I continued watching, my expression shifted slightly. The previous look of the house, including all the details, had been decorated by me personally. Now it had completely changed. My portrait in the entryway had been replaced with a collectible toy figurine. The imported chandelier I bought from France had been swapped for a hideous, ordinary one. Even the sofa, which I had personally chosen ebony wood with pure white flannel, had been replaced and was now covered with a dark sofa cover. Chloe spun around in front of the camera, taking a selfie, and laughed. "It was so girly before. This is much cooler." Cool? Maybe. I didn't even finish the movie. I immediately contacted a real estate agent, ready to sell the house. I remembered 6 years ago when we planned to settle down here, so I used all my savings to buy this house. Although it was a bit small, it was cozy. I had also planted a beautiful wisteria arbor at the entrance. From a distance, it looked like an ocean of love, but because his female friend disliked purple, finding it too sentimental, that wisteria arbor was completely dug up a week after I returned from a business trip. Suddenly, I heard a car pulling up downstairs. I squinted through the window and saw it was indeed the luxury car I had given to Ethan. After picking Chloe up from the hospital, Ethan drove her straight to the house. Now, he was carrying suitcases, saying he was moving in with her. Grace thinks kicking me out is the end of it. But she forgot I had these locks installed, so of course, I have a spare key. He naturally handed the spare key to his female friend. This is your home now. Feel free to live here. Chloe smiled and put her arm around his shoulder. Good son. You really are so loyal. Not bad. It's been redecorated and rearranged just as I asked. It's sure to be comfortable to live in. But as soon as they walked in, they saw the real estate agent with potential buyers viewing the house. Chloe froze. Who are they? Are they the renovation workers you hired? Ethan's face immediately changed, and he rushed forward. What are you doing? How did you break into my house? The agent frowned, glanced at him, and ignored him, continuing to talk with the potential buyers. After being ignored, Ethan's expression worsened. He glared at me furiously. Grace, so you're behind all this. Didn't I tell you to move out? I coldly looked at his hand touching me, as if it were a piece of disgusting trash. You told me to move out. I couldn't help but sneer, uttering a few quiet words. Who do you think you are? Before you make such grand statements, get it straight whose house this is. And I had already told him to pack his things and get out, but he shamelessly came back. He even audaciously gave my house to someone else to live in. Listen, honey, Ethan, you dog, is so good to you. Don't you think you're being so spiteful? Chloe stepped forward to speak for him, her gaze at me filled with coldness and mockery. If you ask me, women are just petty and narrow-minded. Why fuss over such a small thing? Not like us buddies. You remind me. I almost forgot. My gaze slowly fell on Chloe. And that car key Ethan just gave you, hand it back to me. Chloe's face paled. She suddenly looked in pain, clutching her stomach and groaning. Ethan? I think I strained my wound. Ethan's face immediately changed. He rushed forward to support her as if facing a great enemy. What's wrong? Don't move. Ethan frantically rummaged through his bag for medicine. I just got out of the hospital. Did you forget what the doctor said? I need to recover now. No one should disturb me. Chloe's voice was a sweet whine, tinged with reproach, and she deliberately looked up at me. Sure enough. Ethan frowned, about to kick me out. Grace, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Bringing so many people here to disturb Chloe's recovery. I don't have time to deal with you now. Get everyone out of here. We can talk about this later. Even the real estate agent was puzzled by his confident demeanor. Ms. Grace, let me just confirm. Who is the legal owner of this property? That would be me. As I spoke, I took the property deed from my bag and handed it to the agent, seeing that it was indeed in my name and solely mine. He finally nodded in relief. Even his gaze towards Ethan became strange. I can't believe some men freeload to this extent now. It's someone else's house. Yet he's shamelessly acting like the host. That's quite an eye-opener. Ethan instantly grew angry and defensive. Grace, what is the meaning of this? We've been engaged for so many years. Aren't these assets ours jointly? Now that I need money, are you really going to break up with me? Are you even human? I couldn't be bothered to argue with him. I simply pulled out my phone and dialed 911. But he saw my phone screen and immediately rushed over to stop me. We were just talking. Why are you calling the police? I looked up coldly. To report you for trespassing, Ethan. I told you last week. We've called off the engagement. How you choose to repay your favor is your business. Don't come here to discuss me. If you two stand here and hinder me from selling my house, don't blame me for really having the police arrest you and send you to jail. Ethan seemed to have never been so humiliated. He stood there, his face ashen, unable to move forward or backward. He clenched his fists, gritting his teeth as he interrogated me. Grace, do you have to be so extreme? You brought this on yourself. Chloe tried to lie down on my sofa, but I blocked her before she could. Miss, please step aside. In front of everyone, I pulled off the black sofa cover, revealing the original upholstery. That's much better. With that, I smiled at the potential buyers. Chloe shrieked anxiously. Grace, what are you doing? That's the sofa cover I personally picked. So what if you picked it? The potential buyer, who had been watching the drama unfold, suddenly spoke up. This isn't your house. What right do you have to speak? The young, handsome man then looked at me. If this is the aesthetic, then I'm quite satisfied. Seeing us getting along so well, and fearing the house would actually be sold, Ethan finally panicked. Grace, you can't sell this house. Have you forgotten this is the house we bought for our wedding 6 years ago? If you sell it, where will we live after we get married? My movements paused, and I turned back coldly. Do you even remember this is the house we bought for our wedding? How dare you casually give my house to someone else to live in and then expect me to move out? Ethan took a deep breath, seemingly compromising. Okay, I was wrong. You don't have to move out, alright? Just leave a decent bedroom for Chloe. I won't ask for anything more. Chloe frowned and tugged at Ethan's sleeve, showing her displeasure. Didn't you say you'd give this whole house to me? Now you're suddenly changing your mind? Are we still good friends? Ethan motioned for her to say less and turned to me impatiently. After all this trouble for Chloe, you can finally agree, can't you? I almost laughed out loud. She's so brazenly taking over someone else's house, and she's acting like she's been wronged. There's no need to feel wronged for her. My place is too small to accommodate such grand figures as you two. Go find somewhere else. Besides, the house has already been seen and liked. The contract might be signed soon. It's already too late. That day, Ethan and his female friend were humiliatingly kicked out. But that very evening, Chloe updated another social media post, with a bridal shop as the background. Some women turn love into hate. They waited years for a wedding but never got one. If she saw me wearing this wedding dress bought by her husband, wouldn't she be furious? Ethan was the first to like it. Be a good girl, buy the best and most expensive wedding dress. Don't worry about saving me money. For some reason, seeing that comment made me feel an inexplicable sadness. I had been in a relationship with Ethan for 6 years, and he never said anything like that to me. Instead, what he said most often was, "Honey, my financial situation isn't great right now. I can only afford something less expensive for you, sweetheart. Let's try to save money for now. After all, we'll need to buy a car and house later. And we need to work hard for our future. The economy isn't great right now. Money is hard to come by, but I'll spend whatever I have on you." But I tried my best to save money for him. When he sighed with worry over money, I was willing to use my savings to buy a car and a house. Yet, in the end, all I got was being drained dry. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but laugh and casually left a comment, "Congratulations. I wish you a happy family soon." Less than a minute after I posted that comment, Ethan's call came in. "Grace, haven't I told you already? This is all fake, just to fulfill a small wish of hers. Why did you post that comment? Are you deliberately being sarcastic and passive-aggressive?" Chloe saw that comment and was so upset she strained her wound. "She's in the emergency room right now. Don't you know me by now? After all these years, how could I just give up on our relationship? Honey, don't be unreasonable." I heard Chloe's cries from his end, and before I could speak, he hung up. I immediately blocked him. Turns out, fate was on my side. The house sold quickly, to the same young, handsome man who viewed it last time. His name was Leo. He had just returned from overseas, only saw the house once, and liked everything about it. Most importantly, he loved the painting waiting for dawn in the center of the living room. I forgot to mention that I painted it. To thank me for selling him the house, Leo specifically invited me to dinner. The restaurant had a lovely ambience. Through the huge floor-to-ceiling windows, we could see people coming and going, and heavy traffic. But halfway through our meal, Ethan's face appeared behind the glass. A moment later, he burst in, his face deathly pale. "Grace, who is this man?" Leo stood up, maintaining a polite and gentlemanly posture. "Ethan, we just met a few days ago when I was buying the house. Have you forgotten already? You must be a very busy man to forget so quickly. No wonder you couldn't even keep your girlfriend." Leo's tone carried a hint of mockery. "None of your business. I'm warning you, stay away from my girlfriend." He raised his fist, looking unapproachable, coldly threatening Leo, but then he quickly pulled me aside, lowering his guard, and apologized to me with red eyes. "Grace, I've been looking for you these past 2 days. You absolutely cannot sell the house." He held a large bouquet of roses, his voice gentle, almost hoarse. "I know you're usually the most understanding person. You'll surely understand my difficulties. Chloe saved my life. She took that knife for me. And now she's lost her job and can't even pay rent. I can't just let her sleep on the streets, can I? I promise it'll only be for a few days. Once her injuries heal and I find her a place to live, I'll have you move back in, okay? Haven't you wanted to marry me all these years? I promise I'll give you a grand wedding." I took a calm sip of tea and couldn't help but laugh. He had no idea that his so-called female friend had secretly provoked me many times, even sending me intimate photos of them. They had been intimate in the house we bought for our wedding countless times. Even that time he went to the hotel, Ethan only went downstairs to pick up condoms for takeout. That's when he happened to encounter the late assailant. And the woman waiting for him in the hotel room was Coincidentally, Chloe, when I heard this, I only wish the assailant had been more ruthless and just stabbed both of those shameless scoundrels to death. Now, listening to his heartfelt assurances, I found it utterly ridiculous. Ethan, the house has already been sold. Whatever you say now is useless. Moreover, honestly, do you truly want to marry me? My gaze was icy, a flicker of guilt crossed Ethan's face, but he stubbornly insisted, of course, I want to marry you. Besides you, I haven't considered anyone else. I said nothing and played a recording in front of him. Ethan's cold voice rang out that, if it weren't for her car and house, I would have kicked her to the curb long ago. Why would I marry such a boring woman? Chloe, in the future, even if we get married, I plan to use her uterus to have our children. To compensate you in that way, then you won't have to suffer. You'll become a mother without carrying the child directly. Ethan's face went utterly pale. He immediately rushed forward to snatch the recording device. How do you have this recording? Are you spying on me? Ethan, angry and defensive, grabbed my hair and pulled. Of course, I wasn't soft-hearted. I picked up a nearby wine glass and smashed it against his head. That day, I lost a large clump of my hair. Ethan was taken to the hospital. Leo, standing by, was stunned. He looked at me with a mix of shock and complicated emotions. Grace, do you think women like me are crazy, so you shouldn't consider me for your girlfriend? It's not suitable. But just as I was about to leave the city, Leo suddenly extended an invitation to me. Would you be willing to marry me? I had just taken a sip of water and almost spit it out when I heard that. What did you say? Leo's face suddenly turned red. He scratched his head, a little embarrassed. I know it's a bit forward to say something like this right now, but it'll just be direct. My mother, Eleanor, has been pressing me to get married, and it's been affecting my work lately. She's even forcing me to go on blind dates. But I really despise those kinds of situations, Grace. I have a good feeling about you, and that day, you were so cool. It truly impressed me. If you don't mind, we could give it a try, of course. If you feel it's too abrupt, you can refuse. His eyes were full of expectation and sincerity, shining like clean stars. It was completely different from the usual disgust and impatience I saw in Ethan's eyes. I thought for a moment, okay, I accept. I never mentioned that I was facing the same pressure to marry as him. 6 years of dating. Every year, Eleanor would urge me to consider marriage. I always wanted to have a small home of my own, but every time I brought it up to Ethan, he would either frown, busy in his study, and say we'd talk another day, or he would put it off, saying, now is the time to focus on my career. Marriage would only get in the way. I'm not going anywhere. Marriage will happen eventually. Just wait another couple of years. And so I waited, for 6 years. But I had already bought the house we'd bought for our wedding and the car, just waiting for him to agree. It wasn't until Ethan had that incident at the hotel that made me suddenly understand why he hadn't wanted to get married all these years. It was all because of his female friend. Leo and I hit it off instantly, probably the fastest whirlwind marriage in history. What was interesting was that the house, which I had just sold, was now mine again, and I hadn't lost any money after getting our marriage certificate from the county clerk's office. Leo happily took me shopping and out for dinner, and said he'd buy me a sports car I liked. I suddenly remembered that the car previously parked at the house hadn't been sold yet, so I put the car up for sale on the used car market. The car dealer was stunned the moment he saw it. Ms. Grace, the car is so new. Are you sure you want to sell it? It hasn't been in any accidents, has it? I directly handed over the car keys and the inspection report. The car hasn't been in any accidents and has no issues. You can inspect it thoroughly. As for why I'm selling it, because my ex-boyfriend cheated on me and gave this car to his mistress to drive, I find it tainted. The car dealer's face immediately showed he understood completely. I get it. After inspecting the car and confirming there were no problems, the dealer bought it immediately, but unexpectedly, something happened the next day. The car dealer reported it to the police. When the police came looking for me, I was completely baffled. Ms. Grace, correct? According to the car dealer's report, this car of yours is involved in a secondary sale, and there's a dispute over its ownership. I froze. How could there be a dispute? Leo heard the commotion and came out, quickly explaining to the police officer, there must be some misunderstanding. Whether there's a misunderstanding or not, well, find out at the police station. Once I arrived, I found Ethan there. I hadn't realized that Ethan had secretly sold my car earlier. Honestly, who is the owner of this car? I am. Ethan and I spoke in unison. I couldn't stand it anymore. I turned to him. Ethan, Have you no shame? I bought this car outright, and I paid for the gas every month. Are you acting like a big shot when you're not? Ethan, however, looked full of sorrow and whispered next to me, Grace, considering all the years we've been together, can you please not push me to my breaking point? Ethan desperately winked at me, as if he wanted to get down on his knees and beg. Chloe was severely injured saving me, and you know this. She needs to go to the hospital countless times. How can she manage without transportation? No matter what, you absolutely cannot sell this car today. I almost laughed out of anger. No wonder the car dealer said there was a dispute over the car's ownership. It turned out Ethan had secretly transferred it to himself, but hadn't completed the procedures at the DMV. Ethan, even a cornered animal will fight back. Don't you think you're being too thick-skinned, repeatedly using my things to please your female friend? After saying that, I no longer intended to show any mercy and directly told the police the whole truth. Officer, I want to press charges against Ethan for illegal embezzlement of personal assets. Ethan's face suddenly turned ashen. He grabbed my wrist. Grace, do you have to be so extreme? Don't forget, you waited for me for 6 years, just to wait for me to marry you. If I leave you, you'll have nowhere to turn, not even to cry. I sneered, shook off his hand, and slapped him across the face. A scumbag like you. I wouldn't want you even if you were free. With that, I took out my marriage certificate from my bag and waved it in front of him. See this? I'm married now. You secretly sold my car without permission, and even transferred ownership to yourself. That's a serious criminal offense. Ethan's face went completely white. He opened his mouth, wanting to say more, but realizing he was in the police station, he swallowed his words. Sure enough, the police came to inquire about the situation. That's not how it is. Officer, Grace is my fiancée. This car should have been our joint property. He argued with the officer, but I couldn't help but sneer. We were never married. Who has joint property with you? Besides, I have my own husband now. Even if it were joint property, this car would belong to Leo and me. After an investigation, the officer confirmed that I was right. I even embellished the story, accusing him of marriage fraud. Not only did he string me along for 6 years, but he also had an intimate relationship with another woman under the guise of being buddies during our relationship. And with all the videos I had, the evidence was conclusive. The officer also determined that Ethan was clearly committing marriage fraud. He gave him a severe lecture. Ethan, as a man, how can you freeload like this? It's such a disgrace for a man. With things escalated to this point, Ethan finally couldn't save face anymore. Eva was summoned to the police station for questioning. Seeing me, her face was pale, yet she smiled ingratiatingly. Grace, look at this mess. It was clearly just a small matter. Why did it have to come to the police station? If it weren't for me being good friends with your boyfriend, I wouldn't have taken the knife for him. Good friends? I coldly laughed and pulled up a page on my phone, showing the intimate videos she had repeatedly sent me to. After dinner, we listened to music and watched the rain together. Just then, my phone rang. Eleanor suddenly called me, her voice very anxious. Grace, what happened to you? Why is Ethan saying you cheated? Because it happened so suddenly. I hadn't had a chance to tell my family about breaking up with Ethan. I had only told them I was married, but they didn't know who my husband was. Mom, what cheating? Where did you hear that? Eleanor exclaimed, slapping her thigh in frustration. Check the family group chat. You added Ethan to our family group chat when we got engaged. Now he's in there ranting and raving, making baseless accusations. I quickly opened my social media app and sure enough, saw 99 plus unread messages. I had almost forgotten that he was still in the family group chat where no one ever posted. Ethan deliberately caused a scene, posting a video of Leo and me shopping in the family group chat. He claimed I was openly cheating and called me a home wrecker. Our relatives and friends, unaware of the truth, were incited by him and started scolding me. Grace, you're my niece. How could you do something so shameless? See how desperate the young man is. Hurry up and apologize to him. Everyone makes mistakes. It's not too late to turn things around. I almost laughed out of anger. Ethan was truly cunning. He wanted to use this method to ruin my image in the eyes of my relatives and friends. I had originally wanted to maintain some decorum for everyone involved, but now it seemed unnecessary. I directly forwarded the intimate videos Chloe had sent me to the group chat. Who the villain was, everyone could see for themselves. Attached below was my wedding photo. We won't be having a wedding ceremony next month, but everyone's invited to the celebration. After just a few minutes of silence, the screen was flooded with congratulatory messages again. Oh, it was a misunderstanding. I knew Grace. Such a wonderful person. Couldn't do something like that, so the guy got dumped, lost his composure, and then slandered her. He's truly so petty. I smiled, put down my phone, and dismissed the incident as nothing more than a minor hiccup. But then, one day, just as I was getting back from shopping, Ethan rushed up, his eyes red, and blocked my car. I was instantly alarmed and slammed on the brakes, barely avoiding hitting him. Ethan, are you trying to die? I got out of the car to check on him, but's eyes were rimmed with red as he lunged at me, trying to hug me. Grace, I made a mistake. I know I did. Please forgive me. Please give me another chance, okay? You clearly loved me so much. You clearly wanted a future with me. How could you marry Leo? I know you're just acting out of spite, right? I won't blame you for registering your marriage with him. As long as you divorce him within 2 days, I can pretend none of this ever happened. I'll still give you a grand wedding. I'll treat you well from now on. Ethan's voice was hoarse and tearful, sounding like desperate regret. Usually, whenever he cried in front of me, I would be soft-hearted. But it took me a long time, a lot of effort, to finally consider him a stranger. Ethan, you. Just as I was about to speak, I smelled a pungent fragrance, and my head started to feel muddled. My body almost lost its balance, and I nearly fell backward. But Ethan's hand steadily caught me. I knew you'd agree, Grace, I'm still the one you love most. Ethan seemed to glance toward the house, then provocatively pulled his gaze back. Come on, get in the car with me. Come back with me. I'll give you a home now. My whole body went stiff, and I tried to struggle, but I couldn't move at all. Through my blurry vision, I seemed to see a triumphant smile flash in Ethan's eyes. Oh no, it's a sedative. By the time I realized I'd been tricked, my whole body was already limp, and my head was buzzing. Leo, even the sound I made was muffled, as if covered by a cloth. The ride seemed bumpy, and the car was driving fast. In my daze, someone was stroking my face, feeling like a venomous snake flicking its tongue, but I faintly heard Ethan's voice. Grace, you can't blame me for this. You're the one who pushed me to this extreme. If you had just been a little more compliant, pretended none of this ever happened, continued our relationship, married me, and agreed to use your uterus to have a child for Chloe, you wouldn't have to suffer like this. This is all your own fault. Ethan, you beast. I cursed inwardly, biting my lip hard, trying to struggle to stay conscious. And I thought I could smell blood, but I couldn't overpower the effects of the sedative. My vision went black, and I fainted. When I opened my eyes again, I was already in a hospital. I instinctively touched my stomach. No surgical scars. My uterus was still there. From a distance, I heard a loud struggle. I focused my eyes and saw Leo, along with his bodyguards, kicking and punching Ethan. As he hit him, he angrily cursed, "You animal. How could you be so inhuman? For your female friend, you actually came up with such a terrible idea to try and remove Grace's uterus? She didn't make things difficult for you out of consideration for your past, and you tried to destroy her? Why don't you just die?" My mind gradually cleared, and I realized what had happened that day. Ethan deliberately touched me. He actually used a sedative to drug me. He still hadn't given up on compensating Chloe. He wanted to sacrifice me to get Chloe a new uterus. But this time, I wouldn't show any mercy either. I directly filed a lawsuit against him in the court. Ethan's actions, like those of a madman, had long been recorded by surveillance cameras. Soon, the court delivered its verdict, sentenced to 15 years in prison. Ethan's face turned pale, and he shouted like a madman, "No, I haven't succeeded. I didn't cause any harm to Grace. You can't do this to me." He collapsed into tears, kneeling before me and begging for mercy. "Grace, quickly tell the judge. I didn't remove your uterus. I can't go to jail. You know I want to be a civil servant in the future. If I go to jail, my life will be ruined." I looked up coldly and kicked him in the chest. Ethan lost his balance and stumbled to the ground. "You, a scumbag like you, want to be a civil servant? Don't be a disgrace. You should just rot in jail." If hadn't noticed I hadn't returned, and happened to come out to meet me, witnessing me being forced into the car, and chased after us in time, I couldn't even imagine what the consequences would have been. Not only would I have lost my uterus, but even my life would be over, for to go to such lengths was absolutely deranged. Later, the police's continued investigation revealed that Chloe was also involved as an accomplice. After a thorough investigation, the truth finally came out. It turned out that the attacker who stabbed Chloe in the hotel that day wasn't an accidental injury at all. He was Chloe's boyfriend from outside, and he had come to caught them cheating and inflict premeditated revenge. I couldn't help but laugh. And they talked about saving his life, talked about being heroic. They were truly taking undeserved credit. Chloe's uterus was stabbed, and the man went to jail. He'll never be able to have children. It truly was his just desserts. But these messy affairs had nothing to do with me anymore. 3 months after Ethan was imprisoned, he had several letters written to me. I didn't read a single one and threw them straight into the trash. At the end of the month, Leo and I sold our properties in the country and prepared to move abroad permanently, shaking off the toxic people and drama. Our new life was just beginning. That's all for today's story. Thank you for listening. This is my channel. The tales I share drawn from life or woven from imagination are meant to offer you connection, reflection, and perhaps solace or newfound strength. If you long to see your own reflection in others' journeys, or seek a glimmer of light within the maze of emotions, subscribe to my channel. Listen with your heart. Explore the stories of life.